Hey, what's up everyone? It's your girl Jay, Jalen the Alien, the Zodiac Queen. Welcome to my spaceship. I would appreciate it, so appreciate it, if you guys would like this video up and comment down below because it helps your girl so much in terms of that algorithm, support your girl. And today I'm excited because we're going to talk about something great, something a little juicy. We're going to talk about the tea, honey, because Venus is going into retrograde. Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and attraction, is going retrograde on May 13th to June 25th, I believe. So it's going to be here with us in a while in Gemini. So like I said, this is about to get exciting, and this is going to hit the area of our lives having to do with money and love. So the tea. So if you want to see what you should expect based off of your zodiac sign, more specifically your rising sign, and then secondly your sun sign as well, how is this Venus retrograde going to affect you? What's going to happen? What you should be aware of? What advice I have for you? We're going to break it down, the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, and the advice I have for you. So check out your rising sign and zodiac sign in the timestamps down below, and yeah, let's see what's happening. Okay, what's up my Aries people? So first things first, Venus is going retrograde in Gemini in your third house. So with Venus going retrograde in your third house, we're going to make this very simple. We're going to break this down in worst case scenario, best case scenario, and I'm going to give you some advice to keep in mind throughout the time Venus is going to be in retrograde. So first things first, worst case scenario, Venus going to retrograde in your third house can indicate that there's going to be it could be some issues when it comes to communication, because third house represents communication. Third house represents siblings. It represents your neighbors and your environment, your overall community, right? The people that you see in your community a lot, you feel me? So this is also going to be interesting because we have some squares happening with Neptune, okay? That Neptune energy, which can indicate some levels of deception, illusions, not really seeing things clearly, seeing things could be too good to be true. So like I said, worst case scenario, there could be some lies and deception when it comes to your siblings, when it comes to your cousins, your aunts, and especially even your neighbors. Maybe perhaps some issues with your neighbors and stuff like that could also manifest at this time. I can also see this as issues with communication, not really being able to get exactly what you want to say out there as easily as you would like, or maybe just misreading text and stuff like that. Also, especially when it comes to love, miscommunication in love. Maybe, one person says something and it just gets interpreted the wrong way. I could definitely see that also happening with Venus going in retrograde in your third house because it's Gemini energy once again. This could also manifest that maybe even a lack of ideas. Maybe you feel like you are not getting those creative ideas that you usually do. There's a lack of ideas, or you just feel a little blockage when it comes to being able to creatively express your ideas, because Venus is creativity and beauty. If you put that in the third house with Gemini energy, it's not being able to really put yourself out there in the way that you would in terms of ideas, inspiration, okay, those epiphany moments and stuff like that. Logical thinking is just going awry at this time, perhaps. Not being able to see people clearly. The people that you would least expect at this time could be your worst enemy or a hidden enemy, or could just do some low-key shady stuff at this time. So I would be aware of that. Best case scenario though, since retrogrades do bring this energy of introspection, of being able to finally learn those lessons that we need to learn in terms of love, in terms of finances. With it going retrograde in your third house, I could see this playing out in a lot of different ways. I could actually see this as okay, finally we're figuring out ways to have healthy communication with people. Maybe you haven't properly been communicating with your lover, and you're actually going to sit down and have a time to reflect upon your communication and how you can actually, start to perfect your communication, to have healthier communication, and to have a closer relationship with your lover because of that. You know what I mean? This could manifest in terms of your siblings, healthy communication with your siblings, realizing that you want a deeper connection with your family members, your cousins, your neighbors, whatever the case is. I could also see this manifesting as unfinished business. Finally, having the time to reflect on all the things that you started but you didn't complete. So at this time, this is going to be a time where you're like, you know what? I started all these projects and I never completed them. I never finished them. Third house can represent entrepreneurship. So maybe this is a time where you guys are going to be like, you know what? I have all these cute ideas and stuff and I never acted on them. Or maybe this is a time where ideas about how to make money could actually appear at this time. So now you're in this space and time where you're like, yo, how can I actually go about, you know, building this idea and actualizing this idea that I had? You know, you're going to start studying and researching and making that plan to actually, you know, do something in terms of communication, getting into the media field. Maybe you start planning out the YouTube videos that you want to make and writing videos out. This is usually not the time to launch things, but this is the time to plan things. And my advice for you to, you know, get through this Venus retrograde period as, you know, beautifully as possible, make sure you're reading the fine print and make sure you check the things that you know, are about to say and that you're about to post. You know, make sure you read the things that you're about to text to people. Make sure you take a time and space to just like breathe, okay? Just breathe and then say what you need to say, right? Make sure that we're having clear, healthy communication, and don't feel too bad if you feel like, you know, you were misunderstood or whatever the case is, because just know, like, you just need to reflect on it a little bit more. You need to reflect on your mental process more right now. You should reflect on the thoughts that you have. You know, a lot of us are still going to be like more in the house. So a lot of people are scared of that because they're like, oh my God, I'm in the house and I'm like, it's just me and my thoughts. But that should actually give yourself an opportunity to like be excited, because now you can actually deal with the things that hide beneath the shadows. Instead of those things that lie underneath your bed freaking you out, you can actually start to heal those inner demons and stuff like that and be with your thoughts and stuff like that. So that can actually be a really healing experience. And don't be lax when it comes to the people around you. Like I said, with the Neptune energy also being present here, you want to make sure that you are seeing people clearly. And if anybody does come up from your past and stuff like that, make sure you're really looking clearly at this person's intentions and stuff like that, because you are going to be more prone to be lied to at this time. So yeah. Okay, Taurus, what's up? How you doing? So Venus is going retrograde for you guys. It's going to be going retrograde in your second house, the second house of finances. Okay, your money situation. So worst case scenario, when we have a Venus retrograde in your money situation, your money house, your resources, you know, your material rewards and stuff like that, when we have that here, we also have Neptune in the 11th house, we're going to have some interesting energy here, right? Because the worst case scenario is you could actually feel like the financial situation is just on a snooze right now. Like, dang, like I feel a little bit more broke than usual. Or you feel like you just are not pulling in the amount of money that as you usually do. You know, there could be issues surrounding money. You could feel like there's perhaps a lack of money, a lack of even self-worth could be apparent here, because, you know, the second house doesn't just deal with our literal physical resources. It also has to deal with our sense of values and self-worth as well. So maybe we don't value ourselves. Maybe we feel underpaid, you know what I'm saying? Maybe we don't feel like we're worth enough, and we start, you know, really reflecting on those issues. And, you know, Venus retrograde starts to really magnify those issues where we have like self-worth issues, where we don't, you know, understand our own worth and our own value. That could be apparent. And then we have Neptune kind of doing some weird stuff. Neptune is this planet that does represent deception and illusion and confusion and delusion. Okay, all the illusions. Okay, that's Neptune. So with Neptune also being present here at the same time, it's like there could also be some issues with scams, like getting scammed, getting involved in scam artists and scam situations and stuff like that. Spending money on the wrong things. You think you have enough money and you think you have all this money, so you go spend it on stuff that don't make no sense. And you're like, why did I just spend all this money on all these things? Like this, you look back at your bank account like, how did you even get there? How did we get through that place? You know what I'm saying? What happened? I didn't even do this. But you did. You did it. You went to the store and bought those things. You went online and Fashion Nova and bought all the stuff in the store. That's what you did. But with that Neptune energy there, you might not see it. And then we have Neptune being in the 11th house. The 11th house is house of friends. So beware of people that are trying to sell you dreams, that, you know, your friends are just just people, groups of people trying to scam you, groups of people trying to lie to you at this time, probably about money or just in general, you feel me? So you want to be wary about that. Okay, so best case scenario, you'll have new ideas when it comes to making money, because Gemini is this energy of the intellect. It is our mental energy. So when we have Venus going in retrograde in your second house in Gemini, I mean, this could be a time where you can actually reflect on your financial situation. Maybe you realize, dang, I wish I was pulling in more big bucks. How can I do that? And you start, you know, really sitting down and reflecting on, how can I pull in more money into my life? What can I do to actually increase my financial situation at this time? You start making plans on how to secure the bag, okay? You start to reflect upon, how do I spend my money and how can I spend my money better? How can I organize my money? How can I get more money flowing into my current bank account? You feel me? Also dealing with those self-worth issues. So, you know, figuring out, like, you know, how is my self-worth? How are we doing in the self-worth department? How can I fix that? How can I improve upon that? Also, even dealing with, you know, redefining your values. Maybe you redefine your values and you really get to understand, what is it that I value? And do I agree with that? Do I not? You know, really reflecting on the issues of the second house is going to be a part of the best, you know, energy. This can even reflect in physical possessions as well. So are you a hoarder? You know, are you collecting things that don't really have that much value? Or like, are you just filling your space up with a bunch of stuff and junk that you don't need? And I think the most beautiful key, and even the most beautiful piece of advice I can give you, is really at this time, find your worth. Find your worth. Know your worth at this time. If you have been like underpaid and you've been working your booty tail off, but you haven't been paid the appropriate amount, get to the bottom of that and solve that. If you have been letting people walk all over you, get to the bottom at it. You know, understand your self-worth. Understand that you are worth $1 million, billion. You are priceless, okay? So you should be treated as such, and you should treat yourself that way. And also, if you just, you know, take this time to really come to see things really clearly when it comes to your finances. And you might have to learn some lessons in that department in order to do that. But you know what I'm saying? Just know that everything that happens at this time, it is destined and it was fate. What's up, Geminis? I hope you're having a wonderful day. This is your prediction. So first things first, this is going to be a really important, a really karmic, and a really important phase and transit for you guys, because this is happening with your energy. We're going to be having your energy in our lives for such a long time because Venus is going retrograde in the sign of Gemini. So this automatically is being placed in your first house. The energy is all about you. First house energy has everything to do with your identity. It is your physical appearance. It's your goals in life. It's your energy that you're putting out there. It's what you identify with, you know, it is your identity. So with Venus retrograde going here, worst case scenario, we could see issues with our sense of self. Maybe we just don't feel like ourselves. Maybe we feel like we're lacking. Maybe we're lacking confidence. You know, we're having self-confidence issues, self-esteem issues. Maybe we feel like we have to change ourselves and change our bodies. You know, so just something unusual could be happening when it comes to just feeling like, you know, what are we doing? This also could even impact us when it comes to our relationships, because we do have Neptune coming in the mix, like I said in our previous prediction. You know what I'm saying? Neptune in the mix here, there definitely could be some like deception here, some illusion here, not seeing ourselves clearly, not seeing other people clearly for who they really are. So lies, okay? Lies, people trying to scam you, people trying to be shady, that could definitely be present here as well. This is the energy that's really giving me, you know, Neptune is going to be in your 10th house, so you want to be careful when it comes to your public image, your reputation, and not doing like anything that's going to jeopardize that reputation. For some people, this could also be the energy where it's like people, you know, you might be feeling more like arrogant than usual, like really egotistical, but that usually just it's stemming from a place of actually lack of confidence because you feel like you have to overcompensate. So now you see certain people acting like really egotistical and stuff. That could actually be effect of Venus retrograde as well. So, you know, like I said, also Neptune being in your 10th house, this is 10th house energy is your career, baby. 10th house energy is your career. It is your public image. It's your accomplishments, right? So you're going to be really focused on these things, or this would be a place where you're not really seeing things clearly. Deception, illusion could definitely be present here. So you want to watch out when it comes to authority figures in life. Okay, your boss, shady stuff happening with your boss, shady stuff happening with your father. Some things could even happen to your father or something like that, where something crazy happens to your father, like some deceptive stuff happens. Or it could even be like Neptune in the 10th. It's like your reputation, right? Doing stuff that can actually tarnish your reputation. Also, when it comes to your career, shady deals, shady business. This could all be factors of Venus in retrograde with that Neptune square. You want to be careful about that, you know? But squares, they do have a benefit, because through all the tension, you can actually benefit over time. But, you know, it usually has some friction and some tension at first. But after a while, it becomes your biggest friend, your best friend. You know what I'm saying? Your hidden buddy, basically. That's what a square is, in my opinion. Best case scenario, though, with Venus going retrograde in your first house, I mean, you start to actually reflect on, who am I? Who am I? Do I like this person? Why don't I like this person? How can I learn to love myself more? How can I self-love? You know, I could definitely see you guys buying a couple things that are actually gonna make you feel good. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get my hair done, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Just doing things that makes you feel good. Also on a more deeper level, you know, analyzing these issues and analyzing the reasons why you don't love yourself. And actually after this period, you could find that you love yourself even more. You feel more in tune with yourself, more in tune with your creativity, more in tune with your relationships. You know, maybe if you had been stuck in some negative relationship cycles, you finally get the courage and balls to be like, you know what? This relationship ain't it. I'm seeing everything clearly now, and I'm really seeing this BS in my face. I gotta let this go. And you actually walk away from that relationship that's not serving you. You get back into the gym. You start focusing on long-term growth. This is usually not the time to do drastic things and just start big projects, but it is the time to plan. It is the time to research, to study, and to start projects that are going to have that long-term effect, that long-term growth. And this is giving me the energy of learning how to redefine your public image. You know, if you feel like you haven't been representing yourself from that truest, authentic place to the internet, to the public, and just in life and your career, you're gonna sit there and be like, you know what, we gotta do something about this. How can I go about changing this? How can I go about making this better, making this more authentic, making this more real, and just showing the world my magnetism, showing the world my beauty? How can I do that more? And how can I do that excellently? You know what I'm saying? This could also be a time where new ideas come in. New ideas, because Gemini is ideas. So new ideas when it comes to self-improvement overall. How can I improve my life? What goals do I have, and how can I actually go about doing those things? Planning season, study season, working in silence, not having to post everything, but we're working in silence so that when we get out this period, we could pop out with a plan, and that's on period. And I would also say, they always say, when Venus is going retrograde in your first house, do not make alterations to your appearance, okay? So it's not the time to chop your hair off, to dye it, to get body surgery, to get the BBL, okay? You might be feeling like you want to, you know, like I said, but it's not the time, because, you know, things could go a little bit wrong when it comes to that. So don't get surgery on your face, on your body. It's not the time. It's not the time to do it. Don't make no cosmetic enhancement, no Botox, nothing, because it might not come out the way you want to. And after that retrograde, you're gonna be like, why did I do this to myself? Like, this is so weird. Like, what am I doing? Since the first house is looking at the 7th house, the advice that I have for you guys, focus on yourself. Focus on yourself at this period. You might feel called and pulled to like focus on partnerships and other people, but it's not about that right now. It's not about that, especially when we're about to go into your season, okay? Especially when you have a retrograde in your sign, this energy is about you. So refrain from being so involved into your partnerships and stuff, and take time to actually think about yourself. And that is the biggest piece of advice I can give to you, because your energy is going to be potent here for a good amount of time. So live it up and enjoy it, and learn to love yourself. Not only share yourself with a partner or friends, but share yourself to the whole entire world. That's the advice I have for you. Okay, my beautiful Cancers, Venus is going retrograde in your 12th house. Woo! This is going to be an interesting time for you guys. A very deep time, a really karmic time. Worst case scenario, we have Venus in the 12th energy. That could be secret relationships. That could be affairs. That could be hidden relationships. That could be dealing with hidden enemies even, because the 12th house is the house of our arch nemesis as well as our soulmates. So like I said, you could deal with perhaps deception in love. Okay, and this could cause you to want to isolate, because the 12th house is the house of isolation and Venus is love. So you might want to isolate yourself from love, isolate yourself from the world. You want to be more enclosed in your own space. You know, maybe you found out someone was lying to you. So then you're like, you know what? I don't want to deal with any of this. I'm just going to go in my room. I'm going to be by myself and I'm going to go on this spiritual journey. I'm going to heal through this because this was a lot. Okay, I really see this as, you know, some healing energy. And like I said, the 12th house is, you know, elusive, hidden events, you know, things that you can't quite grasp. So love could be feeling a little bit confusing at this point. And also be careful about feeling like too sacrificial, because the 12th house does deal with like sacrifice and compassion and stuff like that. So being overly like sacrificial on behalf of other people, helping people, but forgetting to help yourself could be a thing. Also, karmic situations, karmic relationships could come in at this time to teach you some really, you know, ancient lessons that you have to learn. So past relationships, people from the past could just come back into your life, or they could attempt to come back into your life, and that could be good or bad thing. Also, just maybe you just are thinking more about past relationships and times that you have been lied to, and just really reflecting upon those things, because it's time to heal those things, really. You could feel like there's a lack of love in your life altogether, because the 12th house is missing things. So you could feel like there could be a lack of love in your life. Maybe you feel a little bit lonely, you know, you feel like, dang, I ain't got no quarantine, bae, you know. You know what I'm saying? Or you could just feel a little bit more distant from your lover, and you know, that could be a good or bad thing depending on the situation that you're currently in. And in general, you know, just feeling like a victim, you know, because the 12th house is the house of our undoing. So you could be in a situation where it's completely undoing you right now, and you're just like at a place where you're really vulnerable. So that could definitely be a thing, worst case scenario. Best case scenario though, we have something completely different. Best case scenario, you finally get out of that trash relationship. You finally let that ish go. You know you're not supposed to be with that person, but you keep on staying in that toxic cycle. But finally, when Venus goes in retrograde, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna end this once for all. When that ex tries to come back into your life, or when that person tries to come back into your life, you sit there and you say, you know what? Nah, I'm really handling this, like, for real now. Because they do say, like, sometimes if you go through breakups or makeups during the retrograde periods, it's like it may or may not last, you know. But I feel like you kind of know what needs to be done, right? So I feel like those people coming back into your life, or just past issues coming back up, and you know, just certain things that could come up at this time, they're here to help you learn and to heal. By being in isolation, it's like you learn how to grow, because when you are in periods of isolation, you are by yourself, you're with yourself. So you almost have to learn how to love yourself. You have to learn how to heal those deepest wounds that you have within you, and that only comes from that spiritual isolation. You guys could be more in tune with your spirituality at this time, developing psychic abilities, getting in tune with true spirituality, true mysticism, and stuff like that. That could be a thing. Venus beautifies everything that it touches. So reflecting more upon the 12th house, thinking more about the 12th house things, thinking about foreign countries. And if a lover does come into your life and this is a soulmate, because it could be, it very well could be, or it could just be meeting at this time, fated meetings. They probably would also be more likely to come from a far away country, or maybe it's a distant relationship, a long-term distance relationship, a long distance relationship. That's the word I was looking for, you know? It could be that type of situation as well. And truly, really being able to experience true compassion and forgiveness. That also has a lot to do with the 12th house as well. So maybe you finally are able to forgive yourself from some really deep feminine issues. Maybe you finally get to forgive that person and really let those things go because it was stopping you from your ascension. This is a very deep placement for you guys. So, but like I said, beware of the deception, and that's the advice that I have for you. The advice that I have for you, beware of any deception, beware of be wary that the people that are coming into your life right now is very karmic. If anyone comes into your life right now, it's a very karmic situation and it's a fated situation. And you want to make sure you're seeing that situation clearly and not looking at it with like, you know, rose-colored glasses, and you're really seeing it clearly, because there's probably some karmic lessons here, karmic meetings that you really have to like meditate on, you know, your business dealings, all these things, because the 12th house is losses. So you want to make sure you're not losing money, you know, you're not like losing yourself in relationships that you don't belong in. Okay, my lovely lions, what's up my fellow lions out there? Venus is going retrograde in your 11th house, the 11th house of friendships, your groups, your group organizations, the communities that you're a part of, humanitarianism, the internet. Okay, 11th house is also our hopes, wishes, and dreams, and our older siblings. So worst case scenario for Leos, we're having issues when it comes to our friendships. When it comes to our friendships, we could be more prone for deceptive events to happen, because we have like we have Neptune doing some funky things, right? So like I said, deception when it comes to our friendships. You could realize that the groups that you're a part of just aren't for you. You could realize people were talking behind your back, or some shady stuff could happen at this time in regards to your friends, your older siblings even, and just the groups that you're a part of. Worst case scenario, we could see ourselves feeling a little bit like weird when it comes to our friend groups. Maybe we feel like the alien or the outsider in our own friend group. Maybe we feel like we don't really connect or click with the people that we usually do click with. Maybe we're not going out as much and we're just feeling limited when it comes to our friendship and our social interactions. Maybe there's deceptive events that happen in our friendships and stuff like that. Also when it comes to the internet, because the 11th house is internet situations and the internet vibes, you know, maybe perhaps like issues with the internet and our social media, and like, you know, social media drama and stuff like that could also be present for Leo. So you want to be wary of that. You could just be feeling more introverted than usual and just wanting to spend more time with yourself and just more time by yourself. And that doesn't necessarily have to be an issue, but sometimes it could be, you know, especially if you're used to, you know, having a lot of friends and stuff like that and being super out there and stuff like that. This is really giving me like Chiron in the 11th vibes, and like, you know, Lilith in the 11th vibes. It's like you're just not quite vibing with your groups of people. You just don't feel like you fit in, you know, or you just want to spend more time by yourself. 11th house is also kind of like our inspiration for our hopes, wishes, and dreams. So with Venus in the 11th house here, on the negative side, it's like we could feel like a lack of inspiration. Maybe we don't feel as inspired when it comes to our goals and what's possible. We think that things are not possible. We get super realistic and we forget to dream, you know. Maybe we're just not dreaming as much and fantasizing about the goals that we want in our big huge dreams. It just seems like it's out of reach, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, drama in your friendships, and also drama when it comes to your older siblings. And in terms of money, you know, we have Neptune in the 8th house for you, so 8th house is dealing with other people's money. So this is like, you know, illusions and deception when it comes to like working with other people's money and like shared resources, inheritance. And I could even see, this is like a special situation, but 11th house also is like your older siblings, and you know, Neptune in the 8th deals with like inheritance and like shared resources. Maybe, you know, issues when it comes to like inheritance, like somebody's not receiving the money that they think they deserve from their family. One sibling gets more, or one sibling doesn't, and then there's drama with that. That could definitely be an issue here. You know, that's definitely not going to be everyone, but just issues when it comes to money and handling money and your shared resources. You want to be careful when it comes to that. You don't want to get scammed or nothing at this time. Best case scenario though, the good news, this could be a time where you create deeper bonds with people. Maybe you had all these friends, but then really at the end, you're going to really find out that 3 of those people in that group were actually my real friends. All these other people were just there, and I was just hanging out with them for no reason. They didn't really have a positive effect on my life, or they're just having a neutral effect on my life. And by the end of this transit, you find out who your real friends are. You clarify who your real friends are, because you're reflecting more upon that issue in your life. You're reflecting more upon, you know, your relationships and your friendships in general at this time. So at the end, with all that self-reflection, you gonna know who your real friends are and who your best friends are. if you have been feeling a lack of inspiration and you haven't been really in tune with your big ideas and your big goals at this time, how you can innovate the world, this is the time where you're gonna start like slowly, how do I like, what makes me feel inspired? What makes me feel passionate? You're gonna start digging into that passionate feeling again, you know what I mean? What makes you feel like you can do something and change the world? A friend could even turn into a lover at this time, you know, maybe a friend has had a crush on you this whole time and you had no clue, you had no idea. And then all of a sudden, by the end, that friend is like, hey, like I'm in love with you. And then you're just like, I had no idea, but then it actually works somehow because you like it, you know what I'm saying? So that could also be a factor here. You could find more ways to gain money, so like passive income maybe, and also in the sense you could just find more ways to gain money in general because Gemini does have to do with business. So you could be thinking about different ways to make money, gifts, you know, the 8th house is like people giving you gifts, right? People giving you their money and their resources, people putting you on and connecting you. And the 11th house is our connection. So maybe perhaps you start to really think like, dang, I know all these people. I have all these connections. Why am I not collaborating? Why am I not like calling out to my friends and like, what am I doing? And you're gonna start reflecting on that and seeing how you can collaborate with people to get to where you need to go. You know what I'm saying? And just using your connections to actually benefit you and to benefit your business and to make more money in your life. I could also see this as getting involved in humanitarianism, giving back to the world, because that's what the 11th house has to do with as well. Also the internet, you know, really thinking about how do I want my internet image to be and stuff like that. How do I want to portray myself when it comes to my social media and stuff? That could be a thing that you focus on too. The 11th house is about our wishes, our dreams. So I would say in the beginning of this transit, so May 13th, around then, I would plant a seed. I would plant a seed at this time. I would plant an idea. I would plant a seed because the 11th house has to do with our hopes, wishes, and dreams. So I would say that at the beginning of this transit, so around May 13th, I would take the time to think about what is it that I actually want in my life. If I could have anything that I wanted, what would I want? And really start clarifying, what do you want? What are your goals? What does make you excited and passionate? What do you want to see happening in your life? What do you want to manifest in your life? And then once you're thinking about that around that time, plant that seed, set that intention, start that manifestation process. I just posted a manifestation ritual talking about how I manifested, you know, certain things in my life. So definitely like write down on a piece of paper exactly what you want, right? In present tense, like you already have it at the beginning of this transit. And you know, meditate on that piece of paper, close your eyes and just meditate and visualize that thing happening in your life. Feel it in the moment. Go outside, take that piece of paper and plant it in the ground. Let it go. Don't even think about it. I guarantee you by the end of this transit, that wish will come true because you're going to start reflecting and rearranging and reorganizing certain things in your life that are going to actually help you to make that manifestation happen, whether you know it or not, on a subconscious or conscious level. So I would also say my biggest piece of advice for you guys, plant a seed, set an intention, make a wish, and clarify what the hell your wishes are. Drop the people that need to be dropped out of your life and hold on tight to the people that you know need to be there, and get closer when it comes to the people that you want to actually have deep bonds with. Oh yeah, and then if a friend becomes a lover or a friend like admits that they have feelings for you at this time, really think hard if you want to make that move when it comes to your friendship. What's up, Virgos? Venus going retrograde in your 10th house. This has everything to do with your career, your public image, your accomplishments in life, your reputation. And we want to be careful when it comes to this stuff because we have Neptune involved in the mix here. So Venus going retrograde, worst case scenario in your 10th house, issues with the career, issues with your public image, issues with like your just whole like thing that you're putting out there into the world. Your public image, your internet face, your what people know you as out into the world. There could be issues here. Some deceptive events could happen with a boss, with authority figures, even with your father. Check in on your daddy at this time, you know, or just your opposite sex parent at this time. That could also be a thing as well. But Venus retrograde, worst case, it's like you could see just some issues and some drama in your career, issues and drama when it comes to your reputation. So you want to make sure that you're seeing things clearly and you're reading the fine print, and the people around you and the relationships that you have around you are people that actually have your best interest, you know, because this is losing a job energy, sales going down energy, not being as popping as you once were energy, feeling like you're losing some clout, okay, feeling like you're not being received in the limelight as you used to. Like maybe you're used to getting this many views, and next thing you know, you get 500 and you're just like, where y'all go? Like, what happened? This is also energy that's like not feeling like you're being recognized for what you do. Maybe you're putting in all this hard work, but you're not getting that salary that you deserve. You're not getting that raise that you deserve. You're putting in all this work and effort, but you're not seeing no results, okay? It's our accomplishments. The 10th house is our accomplishments. So you could be feeling like, dang, where's the reap of where's my rewards? Where's it at? Where's my benefits? People trying to take advantage of you. People trying to use you for your clout. People trying to clout chase when it comes to you. Be careful when it comes to this stuff. And deceptive things when it comes to your partnerships. You know, we have Neptune doing some crazy things, squaring, when it comes to your 7th house. Neptune is in your 7th house, and we have Venus in your 10th house. That is, it's not a cute combo. So like I said, this could be like a lover actually ruining your reputation, or your business partner ruining your reputation, or whatever the case is, just affecting your business, your relationship, your public image, your authority in a negative way. You know, issues when it comes to not seeing lovers clearly, deception, lies, shady business. These are all things that could come up at this time in terms of the worst case scenario. You understand your stance in the world. Maybe you didn't know how much influence you actually had. You know, maybe you didn't know how powerful you actually were. And then after this transit, you realize your influence, and you realize the power of your voice, and the power, you step into your power, you step into your authority, and you realize and recognize who you are. You clarify who you want to be out into the world. Maybe you've been confused when it comes to your image, and you don't know what type of image you want to put out there. You don't know how to fix your reputation. You're going to reflect upon your 10th house. You're going to reflect upon your public image, your career, and all these things at this time, and you're going to start making those moves and coming up with a plan, coming up with a way to just fix that issue, right? You're going to actually start handling your career issues at this time, and you're going to start putting those steps into place and writing down the plan and the blueprint to get those things done, to actually start securing the bag. Maybe you were at the wrong job and you leave that job, so now it's like, yo, what am I gonna do? And you're like, wait, I should run my own business. I should start my own business. I should start my own brand. How do I do this? Do the research, okay? Do the research and start studying and planning and, knowing what you have to do. Don't necessarily start the business during this time, but start getting that ball rolling. This is the perfect time to get balls rolling. This could be a time where you're fixing issues that you had with your father. Maybe you had issues with your father, maybe your father had issues, and you're helping your dad out at this time and rekindling that relationship, you know what I'm saying? And just getting that bond, making a deeper bond, fixing issues when it comes to your boss, and reflecting on, like, do I even want to be at this job or this career? Am I doing something that really gives me life and makes me feel passionate? Being more honest with the world about how you feel, okay? Being more authentic. Maybe you've been kind of faked when it comes to your public image, and you're like, you know what? This is who I really am. This is it, y'all. Let me tell y'all about it. You're more bold. I could even see this coming out as like fixing your feed. Maybe you have so much posts on your Instagram and you're just like, this is not me. Why did I post these things? And you just archive a bunch of pictures. You know what I'm saying? You're rethinking your whole image. You're rebranding yourself. I could definitely see rebranding happening at this time for you guys. And even just promoting yourself more. So self-promotion, thinking about how can I promote myself? How can I put myself out there more? That can definitely also be a thing for you guys. So the advice that I have for you, don't make any huge career decisions at this time, because you don't do that during retrogrades. Try to avoid it if you can. And also when it comes to our contracts, since we do have Neptune in the 7th house, make sure we're reading the fine print when it comes to our contracts, and that we're not signing any shady business deals, working with people people that do not have our best interests, and also making sure we're looking at our love life really clearly, and you're like, is this person going to embarrass me? Is this person about to embarrass me in the public? Because you know what I'm saying, that definitely could be a thing with Neptune in the 7, square in the 10. You know, it could definitely be a thing here. So making sure we're seeing our whole just business clearly, relationships clearly, and our business deals and contracts clearly. Read the fine print. And also, it could just be the time to just have a good time. Maybe you've been working so hard and Venus retrograde is like, listen, buy a bunch of stuff and blow out the mall. You feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Have a good time and just have a break. You know, if the career stuff doesn't work out, take a moment to have some fun again. And that fun can actually like spark some new inspiration in your life in terms of the career that you actually want to be a part of and what you want to do. The real key is just start marinating on your public image. Think about it. Be bold. Think of new ideas to actually positively impact your public image, your career, and your accomplishments in life. What do you want to be known for? That's the question you want to have in mind. What's up, my Libras? Venus is going to retrograde, and it's going to retrograde in your 9th house, the 9th house of our belief system, of God, of faith, of our spirituality, higher education, higher learning, and just overall the law, philosophy even. So when we have a retrograde here, we're going to start rethinking these things. We're going to start reflecting upon these things. Worst case scenario, this is just like having something happen where you start to really question your beliefs. Yeah, you could just be confused when it comes to your beliefs. You could be confused for a while when it comes to your belief system, like, what do I believe? Like, who is God? Like, you could have grew up in a religion or something, or a spiritual belief, a spiritual practice, and then when Venus retrograde hits, you're like, do I even believe this anymore? Does this resonate with me anymore? You start questioning things a lot more. You're going to start reflecting on your belief system a lot more. There could be issues when it comes to travel, because the 9th house has to do with like long distance travel. So perhaps there could be some issues when it comes to long distance travel. Maybe you travel somewhere and it's not what you expected, right? Maybe you thought this was going to be an amazing experience in another country, and then you go there and you just feel out of place and you feel uncomfortable, whatever the case is. That could definitely be a thing. I can see this is higher education, so maybe even like you're like, you know what, I want to drop out of college. You're like, I don't want to go to school anymore, or some issues when it comes to your school, master's degree, higher education, higher learning and stuff like that. Your whole philosophy of life is just going to be up to change. Like, there could be issues regarding your teachers, because the 9th house holds our gurus, our teachers and stuff like that. Maybe some person comes into your life and they're like, yeah, I'm so spiritual, like I'm so dope, I got all the secrets to the universe, and then you find out, because you know we have some Neptune issues happening right here, right? Somebody that you're going to go into work with, or you're going to work with on a daily basis, right? Somebody you work at, an employee, somebody you work with on a daily basis, deceives you, deception, or that guru that knows all comes into your life and they're like, I can teach you about X, Y, and Z, and then you get scammed. And they're shady. Whatever the case is, these could be things that happen. You're just questioning a lot. You're just questioning a lot more than you have in a while. But yeah, with Neptune also being your 6th house, I would also like make sure we're seeing like the people that we work with and the people that are just a part of our daily routine. We're seeing those people clearly at this time. So it's like if you work with someone, right? Employees and stuff like that. Even your health, you know, your health can definitely be an issue at this time if you haven't been taking care of yourself, right? Neptune in the 6th, it's like you could have some underlying health issues that you didn't even know, right? And that causes you to like rethink your whole life. Like, how do I make myself healthier again? 6th house is also your animals, so make sure, small animals, make sure you're like, you know, keeping an eye on your small animals, making sure they're okay. Best case scenario, this is the time where you go on an adventure, you know, where you go discover yourself. And the 9th house is connected to Sag energy, and that's all about experience. So go have experiences. You know, I don't know what the state of the world is going to be like when May and June come around, but definitely start planning a trip and go somewhere far. Don't stay in your hometown. Go somewhere where you've never been before. It's completely foreign and you don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? These are the type of things that are going to help you actually discover what it is that you actually believe in. Start researching different cultures. Start researching different belief systems and things that are unusual to you. Don't just get stuck in questioning things and feeling uncomfortable. Start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable with Venus going retrograde in your 9th house, because it's time to explore. It's time to really have these experiences that cause us to question our beliefs. Venus in the 9th house in pertaining to love, this is lovers coming from a foreign country, a foreign lover, okay, somebody who's came up from has a different culture or a different belief system than you, could also be a part of this experience as well. And that could be a blessing in disguise. This could also be like a spiritual connection, a spiritual soulmate, you know, because the 9th house is our spirituality. It is astrology too, so something that was fated, something that was destined, that could definitely be a part of this time as well for you guys. And I mean, the 9th house is like luck. The 9th house is expansion. It's our philosophy. So like I said, you guys are just learning how to expand at this time. So if you've been feeling small for a while, Venus retrograde is like, you need to pay attention to this. You need to pay attention to this, and you need to learn how to be more expansive. So going out there, having more luck in life, and just feeling like things are actually making sense, feeling like there's a higher purpose to all of this. You are going to discover, what is that higher purpose? Right? What is my higher purpose? What do I believe in? These are going to be really important things, and the best parts about having Venus going in retrograde in your 9th house. Expansion. Hey, what's up, Scorpios? We got Venus in retrograde in your 8th house. Woo! We're home, right? The 8th house is the original house of Scorpio. So you guys, you're going to be used to this energy. You know, honestly, this is going to be an interesting time for you guys, especially in terms of relationships and money, like for real, especially relationships for real. Because, you know, I mean, the 8th house has everything to do with, you know, our deep, intimate connections, those deep, psychological, intense relationships, right? Venus in the 8th. I got Venus in my 8th in my natal. So it's like passionate relationships, deep connections, soulmate bonds, karmic stuff, right? But also jealousy, obsession, intensity, and just like a lot going on that's like it's a little bit toxic, right? So, worst case scenario. Definitely any relationship that starts at this time is going to be very intense, very passionate, very like, whoa, a lot is going on, a lot of obsession, some jealousy, and just like some intensity. And sometimes that intensity is not that cute. So definitely be aware of that. That relationships could be very intense at this time for you guys. Issues when it comes to other people's money. So if you're in a marriage even, and like you have shared resources, maybe you find out that, you know, somebody got a hidden bank account or whatever, or just like some hidden stuff, some deceptive stuff when it comes to other people's money and shared resources, stuff like that. When we're in the 8th house, we're dealing with transformation, we're dealing with our shadow side. So definitely seeing we see secrets coming out, a lot of secrets, a lot of taboo things that we could experience at this time in our relationships, a lot of hidden things, hidden relationships, secrets, cheating, lying, manipulation, all of these darker undertone things. This is definitely some crazy energy for lovers coming back into your life. Old lovers, old exes could come back into your life. And these are usually the type of things where it's like you gotta learn a specific type of karmic lesson from that. So like I said, be careful about, you know, old lovers and past lovers coming back to haunt you. Because if we're talking about the negative perspective, right? So yeah, past people from your past in general could come back at this time, and old feelings can resurface and rekindle, and stuff like that could happen. You could be thinking like, oh, I'm in love and this deep, intense situation, but really it's just not, because we have Neptune here at the same time, and Neptune coming in here, it could lead to deception, illusion, not seeing things clearly. So making sure we need to see our relationships clearly at this time. And I mean, we're dealing with the 8th house. The 8th house is the house of death and rebirth. So, you know, death, you know, issues with death, somebody dying, or maybe not literally that, but also just somebody just messing with your money. Like somebody messing with your money and stealing your money, and you didn't know they was taking as much money as you thought, or whatever the case is. Issues with your money, okay? So make sure we're securing that bag. 8th house is also our sexuality, so sex could be really big at this time. Sex, a lot of sex happening, really sexy time, you know what I'm saying? A lot of sexual relationships and just sexual moments that could also happen at this time. Best case scenario though, this is the time, like I said, the relationships that come in at this time are going to be really profound, really deep and impactful, you know. So this is like soulmate vibes. This is soulmate vibes. This is twin flame vibes. These type of people could come into your life at this time, you know, but make sure we're seeing things clearly with that deception that could also be present. But this could definitely be a time that soulmates could actually, fated events, fated things could happen at this time where you're just like, whoa, like how did this happen? This is really deep. This is really intense. This is bringing up a lot of stuff that I didn't want to deal with. And, you know, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes we do need people to reflect things within us, you know, so that we can actually go on the path of healing. So really healing some deep psychological issues, some deep spiritual issues, falling in love with the occult, right? Falling in love with the taboo things, occult practices, spiritual practices, you know, like astrology, numerology, magic, and witchcraft, all these things, actually falling in love with those things and getting a deeper connection with people in general. Like I said, past lovers could come back. Maybe somebody from your past actually was supposed to be your soulmate, but it messed up and it just, you weren't aligned before, and now it's actually the perfect time to get into a relationship. I don't know. Best case scenario, that could actually be a thing at this time. But really just having epiphanies, getting the honest truth when it comes to relationships. If you have been living in la la land after this transit, there's no more la la land. You will be dealing with the shadow. You will be dealing with everything that was hidden from you. And the 8th house is transformation. So you will be transforming the way that you handle your money, the way that you gain your money, the way that you do relationships. This will be a really deep and profound, impactful time for you guys. So really take heed on the lessons that are going to be, you know, approaching you at this time. This is death and rebirth in relationships, right? You know, 8th house is death and rebirth in relationships. It's epiphanies. It's wondering. It's like waking up one day and being like, I'm not supposed to be in this relationship. I'ma leave. I'ma go. Or we should get together. We should commit to each other. All these type of things, right? This is 8th house stuff. This is like extreme ups and extreme down. It is the house of extremes. So just extreme things could happen at this time. But since we're talking about best case scenario, it's for the good. And one thing that I would also say is blessings from other people. Blessings from other people can be apparent at this time. Maybe a random person gives you a gift. Maybe a random person gives you something that, you know, really helped you out. Like I remember I had an 8th house transit and somebody, I don't even know who it was, but somebody put me and linked me to this television company, and then I got this huge interview, this huge audition that I wouldn't have gotten before if it wasn't for whoever had shared my name to the producer. So this type of thing could also happen at this time. And my advice for you guys is to air it all out, okay? Handle your secrets. Purge all the stuff that you need to purge. Purge all the past relationships, the past traumas, and all the heavy stuff in love. Deal with it. Don't put it underneath the rug. It's time to deal with it. It's time to get there. It's time to get intense. It's time to get passionate. It's time to have sex. And it's time to have these really intense experiences because these were fated. These were destined, right? It's time to deal with our financial issues once and for all. It's time to see everything as it is. It's time to dive into the truth of the matter. Okay, the 8th house is about anything that was hidden in the unconscious. So it's really time to do some deep healing work. This is the grand finale, okay? Pay attention to your intense emotions and see what they're telling you. Your emotions are going to be very deep at this time. Why? You know, start analyzing those things. You know, Gemini energy is thinking. It's your thought process. So start logically analyzing your emotions, right? And getting to the bottom of a lot of stuff in your life. And if you have been closed off from connection, this is learning how to connect deeply with other people, to actually be vulnerable and to have deep connections, which is going to be completely impactful if you have been closed. So you're learning how to open up your heart again and to love from a place that you haven't loved before, okay? Learning how to be vulnerable, learning how to really trust a person. These are the type of issues that we're dealing with and the advice I have for you. What's up, all my Sagittarius, Sag Sun, Sag Risings? How y'all doing? This is your Venus retrograde prediction. Like I said, like this video up. Venus is going retrograde in your 7th house. So this is going to be really important because Venus is going retrograde in Gemini. The opposite of Gemini is Sagittarius. So the energy is not really going to be on you. It's going to be on your partnerships. If you haven't been like in relationships and you haven't really been in a partnership of any kind, you haven't had a best friend, no business partnership, whatever the case is, this is definitely a time where business partnerships and new relationships could start, and just people could be coming into your life at this time, you know. And these are fated connections, these are fated people. They were supposed to come at this time. It's very important that you really analyze your relationships that you have with people, and the new people that could come into your life at this time, and the relationships that you're already currently in. Worst case scenario though, with this transit, we could see some issues when it comes to our relationships, how we relate to others. Maybe we're giving, you know, the 7th house deals with like equality. It's that Libra energy, balancing the scale. So are we giving more or taking more than we actually should? You know, are we not actually getting that reciprocal like treatment? We're not getting fair treatment in our relationships. That's going to be highlighted at this time. It's the thing where new people could come into your life, but are these people to be trusted? You know, can we actually trust these people? Are they trying to deceive us? Is there any shady business going on? You know, 7th house is our contracts. Are we signing any shady deals at this time? Are we working with people who do not have our best interest at heart? Because Neptune coming into the mix, it is kind of giving us this air of deception. So you definitely want to keep in mind deception. And even, you know, with Neptune being in the 4th, it's our feelings, our emotions, you know, somebody trying to play us when it comes to our emotions, and to play with our feelings, right? To play with our houses and our foundation, you feel me? Moving and stuff like that could be a part of this as well. You know, issues when it comes to our family dynamic, and people in our family maybe not agreeing with our lovers, our love choices. You know, you find this person and your mom is like, no, I don't like them. No. You know, just issues when it comes to our relationships. This could be present at this time. Breakups or makeups, you know, past lovers coming from the past and coming back into the present. And you know, this is your ex hitting you up like, hey girl, what's up, big head? How you been? What's going on? People that you cut off could try to like come back into your life. So you really have to take a step back and analyze the full situation. Did I end this relationship for a reason? And you know, do I want to invite this person back into my life and space? Or maybe, you know, I ended it too soon and we never really got to work things out. And you actually get to have those conversations that actually, you know, solve those problems that you never were solving before. This is that time here. We're thinking about equal treatment, okay? So situations could come about on the negative side that can really highlight to us where we are not giving and receiving equally. There's no equal treatment, right? The 7th house also does hold our enemies. So in the worst case scenario, there could be some fights and drama when it comes to people we consider open enemies. So enemies that we clearly know. This is not hidden enemies. These are people that you've been beefing with for a while, right? And the drama could just get more extra at this time, right? Especially when it deals with money, love, you know? So we want to be aware, we want to be aware about those issues as well. Open enemies. Even our business partners, okay? If we're about to do business with a person, making sure that we're actually seeing those people clearly and we're not being deceived at this time, y'all. This is going to be really, really, really key. You know what I'm saying? Watch the relationships. Watch the relationships that you're in. Watch anything that you are committed to. This is all about commitments. The 7th house is about making those long-term commitments. So, you know, we're not taking commitments like, oh yeah, we're being nonchalant about it. We're actually seeing it and like we're analyzing it. We're thinking about it. We're marinating on it. This is not the time to commit. Best case scenario though, this is the time for fated connections. So soulmates. This is definitely a time where a soulmate could come into your life. You know, either right before the Venus retrograde or right after the Venus retrograde, or maybe in the middle, but I'm really feeling like either before or after, this is when a soulmate could just pop into your life at this time. And this is really good. This is really great. This is a time where new love could actually, you know, something that you actually truly deserve. You know, you are going to get what you deserve in May and June, whether that's good or bad. So the good news is, if you've been really planting those seeds, you've been doing the healing work, you've been doing the shadow work, you've been analyzing how you've been toxic in relationships and how you've been accepting toxic behavior, this is the time you can actually find a relationship that is balanced, you know, and you start to learn through that relationship how to come to a sense of balance. you know, maybe a healthy relationship, right? Learning how to be in these healthy partnerships and relationships. That could be a part of the best case scenario. This is reconciliation, reconnecting with people that we haven't talked to in a while. This is old people coming back to be like, hey, I can help you with this, and they actually have good intention. This could also be a time where just unusual relationships could just start in general. Maybe you enter some really unusual relationships. Like, what if you enter a relationship with a person who is like twice your age, and it's like, oh, this is a little different, but it works. You know, this could definitely be a factor when it comes to this energy as well. Just unusual relationships, you know, not quite the right time, or just something weird could happen in relationships, but ultimately it was destined. If you have been in toxic relationships and you've been having these toxic patterns in how you relate, you're gonna completely revamp how you relate to others. And if you're not used to being in a relationship, you haven't been in a relationship before, this is gonna be in your mind. You're gonna be reflecting on those things more. So when you start reflecting on like what you want out of a partner and start thinking about that deeper, then that's exactly the moment when the universe can actually give you somebody that's going to reflect what you've been wanting and what you've been craving, because now you are more clear and you have clarified exactly what you are looking for in your committed partnerships. So once you know what you want, that's when you can actually get what you ask for. But you can't get what you want if you don't know what you want. So after this transit, you're going to realize exactly what you are looking for out of a relationship, whether that's coming from bad examples and you're like, dang, I definitely don't want that. Or you start thinking like, you know what? I see this cute thing. I like that. I want something like that. And I've had this experience before. I like that. You start to learn more in regards to your relationships and evolve. And that's the beautiful thing with this transit. What's up, my Capricorn? So we have Venus going retrograde in your 6th house. 6th house is the house of our health. It's the house of our daily routines. It's the house of work, you know, our job, the things that we do on a daily basis having to do with those type of things, because we go to work every day. Also employees and our smaller animals. So when we have, 6th house is also service to other people. So when we have like 6th house retrograde in Venus, you know, this is some really interesting energy here, especially worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, this could point to losing a job, having issues when it comes to our work. You know, maybe we weren't in the right job, we get laid off, whatever the case is, and we're just like, dang, where does money about to come from? You know, maybe it's having issues with our employees. Maybe even having issues with our animals, our smaller animals. Make sure you're checking on your smaller animals at this time, and make sure you're showing them love. If you feel distant from your smaller animals, you know, play with them more and hang out with them more. Wanting perfection and craving perfection, wanting to be perfect, working so hard and not seeing the results or not seeing the proper pay. This is about wanting to have that perfect body, or wanting to be really healthy and just to be perfect, because you know sometimes the Virgo energy can do that, you know, because 6th house is Virgo energy. So you know, it's like you're craving perfection but you're not nailing it, and it's like you're really being analytical about your life, and so much so that you could tear yourself apart. You know, you're like ripping yourself to shreds because you're like having these high expectations, but it's really harming you in the end. This could also be when health issues, if you have any underlying health issues, they can definitely come up at this time. And you know, this retrograde is really telling you like, listen, you got to beautify this, you got to harmonize this, you got to bring this to a point of balance, right? You have to balance out your health. So maybe this is a time where you, you know, experience some health issues, because listen, you gotta deal with your stuff. Universe is like, you gotta deal with your stuff at this time. You could be feeling like you just you're not being productive enough. Maybe for some reason you just feel like a lack of productivity in your life. You're like, I want to do all of these things, but I can't do all of these things. Like, I'm trying to do it and I can't. Like, you just feel like something is stopping you from being so productive. You feel more lazy than usual. Or maybe you are being productive, but you're not giving yourself a break. You're working yourself into nothing, okay? And also we have Neptune being present here. Neptune in the opposite, you know, energy for you guys. We have Neptune being in your 3rd house as well, because Neptune is going to be doing some funky stuff to this Venus retrograde. So also this could be miscommunication, issues with our communication, not being able to really verbally express how we feel, or maybe miscommunications in your relationships in general at this time. You want to be wary about that. And also maybe even with your siblings and your cousins and your neighbors. Stuff could be a little you know, icky in general. Just deception in general. We're gonna watch out for deception in general, especially when it comes to work, when it comes to the job and your health, okay? You wanna make sure you're seeing things clearly when it comes to these things that you do on a daily basis. Sixth house does hold our enemies as well. So it's like you want to make sure that we're not getting into any beef at this time, and we're not getting into any dramas, unnecessary dramas. Insecurities about your body, insecurities about your productivity and your job could just be present at this time, and that's the worst case scenario that I'm seeing. Honestly, best case scenario with a Venus in retrograde in the 6th house, this is finally coming to a point where you start reflecting on your daily routine and saying, is this daily routine actually serving me? Do I even have a daily routine? And if I don't, how can I create one that's going to get me closer to being successful on a daily basis? Because it's all about that work that you do on a daily basis, that consistency that you're bringing to your life that's actually going to get you to make those results. It's about the small steps that you take every single day. So you're going to start reflecting on your 6th house. You're going to start reflecting on your daily routine. And you're like, yeah, I could actually update this area of my life, and I could do this on a daily basis. I'm going to try to take care of my health more. How can I do that? I could go to sleep on time and get in tune with my circadian rhythms. You know what I'm saying? You can just start thinking of ways that you can get more in tune with your daily routine. If you lose your job, you start thinking, dang, how can I make some money? What are different ways I can make some money? And do I even want to be at that job? Was that job even for me? And maybe if it wasn't for you, you start thinking, okay, you start looking for more jobs. You start looking for more ways to make money. You start getting creative ideas to make money at this time. Ones that are destined, okay? Ones that are coming from a spiritual source. You realize your job sucks and you get a new one. You finally get organized. You realize like toxic habits that you have. If you have any toxic habits at this time, with the retrograde energy being here, those are gonna be reflected to you. So then you're like, I got these toxic habits. I gotta stop doing this stuff. This is not serving me. I gotta chill. So you're gonna actually start to, have a better relationship with those toxic habits and like cut them out, or just starting to heal those things and to fix those things. You're gonna fix a lot of little things. If you had this boat going and the boat was going, it was floating, and then all of a sudden it started sinking, and you're like, yo, why is this boat sinking? You're gonna start asking yourself those questions. Why is that boat sinking? Because on the outside, it looks like just this big, beautiful boat, but then you get up close and you see it got some holes at the bottom of it. You're gonna fix those holes during the Venus retrograde. You're gonna fix your boat by analyzing all the small little details. And that's important, that's big. You beautify your body. If you realize, dang, I haven't been taking care of myself, this is the time where you start getting back into the gym. You start taking care of yourself again, okay? This is definitely could be long-term goal energy. It's not about quick results, this is about long-term goal energy. And overall, this is just about being more efficient and being more productive and learning new creative ways to be more efficient and productive in your life, and working hard on a daily basis, but also not just working hard, working smart, working with ease, working with the flow. You know what I'm saying? These are important things. And my advice to you, work with the flow and analyze those little small details. And don't be too hard on yourself at this time, but also recognize this is a time for growth. And that's empowering, that's beautiful. What's up, Aquariuses? Well, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be interesting because we have Venus going retrograde in your 5th house. Okay, this is the opposite energy happening here, right? 5th house is the house of Leo, and Leo is your opposite. So this is interesting energy. So Venus in retrograde in the 5th house, definitely romance. Romance is gonna be a theme here because the 5th house is the house of romance. Love, casual relationships, casual sex, personal creativity, self-expression, and stuff like that. Fun. Things where we have fun, exciting things that we have a good time at, parties, stuff like that. That's all 5th house type things. So Venus in retrograde here in the 5th, there could just be issues surrounding those things. We could run into some bumps in the road, some blockages when it comes to the 5th house. Maybe casual relationships just going wrong. Maybe you think something is like a deeper thing and the other person is like, it's really not that deep. I don't really like you like that. I was just trying to have a good time. You feel me? We could have those type of issues here. We could just have issues when it comes to romance in general. Maybe we don't feel as like sexy. We're not feeling sexy. We're not feeling that confident. Maybe we're even lacking like creativity. We don't feel as creative as we usually are. So then we're sitting here like, dang, I don't feel creative. I don't have any ideas. I don't know how to express myself. What's happening? The retrograde energy has a way of like instead of it being portrayed out into the world, we start to go within. So maybe perhaps it just feels like we have all these creative ideas on the inside of our brains, but we don't know how to express that out into the world. We're like, I have this crazy idea inside of my head, but you can't figure out how to actually put it out there into the world. So that could be frustrating. There could just be a lack of confidence or a lack of creativity in general at this time for you. And just issues regarding like love, you know, love and romance could definitely come up. Casual flings gone wrong, or you thinking that somebody wants more than the other, and just, you know, stuff like that. And maybe you just like don't feel sexy. Maybe for some reason you're just not feeling hot. You're not feeling sexy. You're not feeling like, you know, in the mood, if you know what I'm saying. You're feeling a little blocked down there in your sacral energy and your root chakra energy. So that could be something you can focus on that, you know, could actually be beneficial for you at this time. But yeah, that could just be the overall feeling there. And also when it comes to money, because Venus does have to do with money, this could definitely signal like unnecessary spending. So like you go spend your money on some things that don't really make sense or that don't make any practical sense, right? You're just like, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy that, and they're just like these dumb things, and it's just like, that literally was a waste of my money. You know, you're gonna be like, dang, after this transit, you might look back and like, why did I buy that? Like, what was the point? And it was just because it was fun in the moment. It seemed good in the moment, you know what I mean? These are the type of things that could happen. And then we have, you know, the Neptune coming into the mix here. So Neptune doing some interesting, you know, squaring with certain things. This is like deception, lies, illusion. So you want to make sure that you're seeing things clearly. You're not overspending, right? You're not overspending your money, because this is happening in your second house with Neptune. So you're not spending your money on things that you shouldn't be spending your money on, right? You're not getting scammed, right? You're making sure that we're seeing things clearly when it comes to our finances, as well as our relationships, giving our money away to people that do not deserve it, you know, spending all your love and affection and stuff on someone and then realizing that they're a cheater and a liar and they're deceiving you. You want to keep that in mind as well. You know, making sure we're not seeing people, for who we want them to be instead of who they actually are. Best case scenario though, because retrograde periods tend to be periods of reflection, of, you know, rethinking things, redoing things, handling unfinished business. This could be a time where you actually, maybe the one that got away comes back into your life, and it's like, dang, we can give this a second chance. Maybe this can actually work out, and you actually have a fun time with a person, an old fling, an old connection, right? A past lover or something like that could come, and you could have a lot of fun in that arena. I would still tread lightly, you know what I'm saying? Be aware, but also have a good time, you know what I'm saying? If you feel closed off, this could be a time to like go within and be like, what is blocking me right now? What energy is blocking with me right now? And how can I start to dive into my creativity? This is giving me sacral chakra activation vibes, yo. Take my freaking Divine Feminine course, bro, because this is talking about diving into our creativity, diving into our Divine Feminine energy. You're getting more in tune with that, right? And that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with like gender. It's about getting in tune with our sense of fun, with our sense of creativity. So finding things that actually give us a sense of passion. You are reflecting on those things at this time. So you're reflecting on, how can I have more fun in my life? Put more effort into having more fun in your life. Maybe you've been too serious recently, and it's time to have a good time. It's time to go party. It's time to draw, create, make a YouTube video. I don't know. It's time to dive into that sector of life. It's the type of energy, like if you started a channel and you posted like one video, but then you gave up, this is the type of energy where you're like, you know what? Let me go back to that YouTube channel and let me try posting more videos. It's, you know, really handling that unfinished business and just trying new things in terms of romance. Maybe you've been stuck in maybe you've been liking the same kind of person over and over again, and this is the time you try something a little bit different, a little bit unique, a little bit unusual, and you just get into your sexy again, right? You start thinking about, dang, I want to feel sexy. I want to feel hot, you know, and you start thinking about ways that you can bring more of that into your life. Or if you've been having too much fun and you've been doing too much, this is the time where you're gonna be like, dang, I gotta chill. I've been doing way too much. I gotta be more disciplined at this time. So you start, you know, calming down a little bit. The fun energy becomes an inward energy versus this outward expression of like all this craziness, right? So you just start coming back down to chill. It really depends on who you are and where you are, like in terms of your life and development and evolution. The best advice that I have for you guys in terms of everything, like I said, be aware of deception and lies and shady things happening. And also, I would avoid tying the knot right now. Like, I would avoid tying the knot right now. I wouldn't suggest diving into new relationships and partnerships right now, but I would explore, but I won't tie the knot, right? Because 5th house does deal with kind of like more lighter tone relationships. So I wouldn't be like all up into commitment right now, but I would be like, have a good time. That's the vibe I'm on when it comes to you guys. What's up, my Pisces? Welcome. Okay, so Venus is going retrograde in Gemini, and this is going retrograde in your 4th house. 4th house is everything to do with family, home, our mom, or just our same-sex parent, our emotional core, our foundation. You know, the 4th house represents how we grew up, our childhood. So with Venus retrograde in the 4th house, expect some, worst case scenario, expect some things from your childhood to resurface. Some things that you really haven't dealt with fully actually come back from your childhood. Like, you're just like, wait, am I freaking 10 years old again? Am I freaking 8 years old again? Like, what's happening? Like, why am I back in this place? Like a deja vu type of feeling could also be effective at this time. You know, issues when it comes to your family members, issues when it comes to your mother or same-sex parent, you know, could arise at this time. Issues when it comes to the home. Maybe you wake up one day and you're like, dang, I do not like where I live. This house is not my house. I don't like this house. And maybe you start thinking about ways, how can I fix this? How can I update this? You know what I mean? Because you just don't want to be there, because you realize the environment that you live in or the house that you live in just ain't it. Maybe you got some haunting going on, and you know, you're just like, oh, this house makes me uncomfortable, you feel me? There's no love in here. This house is just lacking love, you know, because Venus retrograde, the retrograde means we're going inward. You know, the retrograde means we're learning those lessons, we're handling those, we're doing it all over again. Maybe you think that you handled this issue in your house and then it just comes back again. Or maybe you think that you finally solved that issue in your family and then all of a sudden you arguing about the same stuff again. It's like, dang, we've been here before. What's happening? This is also our emotions, our emotional core. So expect to be a little bit more sensitive than usual. And, you know, for some people, depending on how well you've been handling your emotions and doing that deep healing, your emotions are going to be reflected and emphasized at this time. So, you know, if you've been having like bad feelings and emotions, that might happen even more, but it's only happening so that you can actually deal with those emotions, because the universe is throwing in your face like, hey, you haven't looked at this, you haven't dealt with this, you need to deal with this. And this is important, especially when we have Neptune in your 1st house, the house of self. And Neptune is classic and prone for bringing like this deception, these illusions, not seeing yourself clearly. You might not know who you are right now. You might feel like you're lacking a sense of identity. You don't know where you're going. You don't know where you're headed. And it could be a little woozy at times. But that's why we're having this transit right here, right now for you guys, because it's really letting you know, hey, I need to start thinking about who I am. And the only way that you learn who you are is when you start going back to that emotional core. You go back to that childhood. You go back to where you grew up, and you go back to your mom and the connection that you have with your mom and your family. And that's how we start getting in tune with who we are. So when it comes to Neptune being here and Venus retrograde, you want to make sure we're not being deceptive when it comes to our money, that we're not being scammed. People are trying to scam us. People are trying to tell us who we are and people are trying to tell us that we aren't capable of doing certain things, and we believe them. This is moving to the wrong place. Maybe you just moved and you're like, this place is not the one for me. Dang, I'm stuck here. What am I going to do? This means going online and looking at different apartments or looking at different houses. This is overspending too much money on your current house, and it's like, dang, this was kind of not worth my time. Like, this was not worth my time or my money. So like I said, worst case scenario, just deceptive events, illusions, not seeing things clearly, and just emotional issues with your family could come up at this time. Best case scenario, you start to really see things clearly when it comes to your home situation and your family situation. Things aren't happy at home. There's no more sweeping it under the rug. This is when you're actually starting to deal with those issues to the core. Okay, this is when you're actually starting to get in tune with your emotions and reflecting upon your emotions, reflecting upon what makes me feel safe and secure, what makes me feel at home, who makes me feel at home, who is my family. Sometimes your family is not even your real family. Sometimes it's your friends. So your own friends could be closer to you than your family. Make sure and you know, if your family members have been deceiving you, somebody in your family has been lying to you, you're gonna find out. And good thing that you know about it now and you're not living in that lie anymore. And you could start actually dealing with those issues, right? You know, this is the time where you're gonna start thinking about ways to beautify your home. So maybe you're gonna be more in your head, like, how can I, you know, what can I do with my room to make it prettier? And what can I do with my home to make it prettier? And like, how can I just update everything, right? Maybe you realize that, dang, I'm not really that secure right now. And what is security? That's the 4th house. And then you're like, okay, Venus has to do with money. So you're like, I need to start saving more money. And you start saving more money because you realize that you want to update your house, or you realize that you just don't feel like you have enough. And you're always just kind of like, you know, working paycheck to paycheck. So you start saving more money at this time, right? And just really healing deep childhood issues at this time. And my advice, don't move. Do not move at this time. This is not the time to move out your house, to leave a new house, to go to the new home. If you can avoid that, avoid it. Do not move houses, all right? Do not do it, okay? That's my biggest piece of advice. And make sure if you're seeing things clearly and you're not seeing things with rose-colored glasses, you're really, you know, getting into reality. We're not overspending our money and we're not doing too much that's going to lead us in a place of lack and we feel insecure. We are doing things and making moves that are going to give us security. We are actually healing our issues. We're healing those deep childhood issues. We're going to that childhood home. You might want to visit your childhood home and just nostalgia. Be in nostalgic places at this time and revisit those areas and see what you can learn. And beware of emotional spending. Boom.